Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the class of biology on the fascinating world of biology. Hi, I am Noshad. I will be your instructor for this course. Throughout this course, we will learn about fats, structures and manufactured fats, importance of fats, and where do fats occur. Here we will improve our reading skills. Now we discuss about fats. What is fats? What are fats? Fats like carbohydrates are organic compounds made up of the elements carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Fats are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But unlike carbohydrates, fats contain much less oxygen in proportions to hydrogen. For example, terrestrian beef fat has the formula carbon 57, hydrogen 110 and oxygen 6. Note how little oxygen it contains in proportion to hydrogen. The proportions of the element that make up fats are not fixed, so there is no general formula for fats. Fats can be animal fats or plant fats. Fats are commonly used as a store of energy, especially by animals. A model of a fat molecules. Fat is very complex structure of carbon, hydrogen and oxygens, which understand is very difficult to understand the structure of fats because thousands millions of carbon and hydrogen oxygen molecules combine very closely to each other. Fats can be broken down into fatty acids and glycerols. Fats can be broken down into simple compound by hydrolysis. They are hydrolyzed to fatty acids and glycerol according to the general equations below. It means that fats are break down into fatty acid and glycerols. Here we look at diagram to understand the structure and chemical process of fat molecules, which are broken into two molecules, fatty acids and glycerol. That's a one fat molecule plus three water molecules, one, two, three. Three water molecules as a catalyst. Byproduct is for glycerol and three fatty acid molecules. One fat molecule plus three water molecules catalyst and break down into glycerol and three fatty acid molecules. One, two, three fatty acid molecule. These are the long chains of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. This involves the addition of water molecules, hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, hydro means water, lysis means breakdown. In the presence of water, this process is occur in the presence of water. Hydrolysis, hydro means water, and occurs readily with an enzyme or a catalyst. For example, when tristyrene is hydrolyzed by the enzyme lipase, stearic acid and glycerol are produced. We look at this equation and try to understand the process of hydrolysis. Tristyrene carbon 57, hydrogen 110, oxygen 6, 1 molecule of tristyrene plus 3 molecules of water in the presence of lipase. In the presence of this chemical reaction takes place in the presence of lipase, and 1 molecule of glycerol carbon 3 hydrogen 5 into OH3, glycerol 1 molecule of glycerol plus 3 molecules of stearic acid carbon 17 hydrogen 3 35 plus carbohydrate COH. Look at these equations and concentrate that how this process is occurs and which catalyst is involved to complete this whole process. 1 molecule of tristyrene plus 3 molecules of water in the presence of lipase. The byproduct is from glycerol plus 3 molecule of stearic acid. We look here that what is fatty acids, how fatty acids look. Fatty acids are in the form of liquid or slightly in solid form, like all oils are fatty acid. All oils are fatty acids. Oils are liquid fats. Is there any difference between fats and oils? First, think about the difference between ice and water. If we put a cup of water in the freezer, the water eventually becomes a block of ice. Likewise, when we place a corn oil in a refrigerator, it soon hardens into a mass of fats. Thus, the difference between fats and oils is their physical state. Or liquid at 30 degrees centigrade or room temperature. In this book, we shall use the term fat to refer to both solid and liquid fats. Fats are in the form of liquid and in the form of solid, slightly so. Since stearic acid is derived from fats, we call it a fatty acid. Stearic acid is also called fatty acid. Other than stearic acid, there are many fatty acids. Saturated and unsaturated fats. 4.4 table lists the characteristics of saturated and unsaturated fats. Characteristics of saturated fats. Characteristics of unsaturated fats. Saturated fat most found mostly in animals. Mostly in animals, saturated fat. Fatty acid chains are straight. Saturated fatty acid are in straight chain like this. Like this, saturated fats are in chain form. Most saturated fats are solid at room temperature like butter, e.g. at example butter. Saturated fats are mostly in the form of solid state butters. Now we look at the unsaturated fatty acids found mostly in vegetables. Unsaturated present in vegetables while saturated in animals. Fatty acid chains are bent in some places. Bent like turd, bent, branched shape. Fatty acid chains are bent in some places like the structure, like a saturated setted in straight chain. Unsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature olive oil. Olive oil. A unsaturated fatty acid are in the form of liquid, while the saturated fatty acid are in the form of solid like butter, olive oil. Characteristics of saturated and unsaturated fats. A fatty substance called cholesterol is usually found together with saturated fats. For example, in dairy products, too much polysaturated fats and cholesterol in the diet may cause coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease. Saturated fats cause the coronary heart disease. Some people also develop gallstones, which are made up mostly of cholesterols. And here we discuss the harmful effect of fatty acid like cholesterol. Cholesterol can cause heart disease and also cause the reason of gallstones. Gallstone is also due to the abnormalities of excess of cholesterol. Unsaturated fats are thought to reduce the cholesterol level in the blood. Unsaturated meal oil less harmful than saturated. Unsaturated less harmful than saturated. Look at this line. Unsaturated fats are thought to reduce the cholesterol level in the blood. Hence, unsaturated fat should replace animal fats in the diet as often as possible. Humans and other mammals can synthesize enough fats in their bodies to meet their fat requirements. Thus, it is not necessary for them to get their fats from blood. How does cholesterol leads to heart disease? Read more about in chapter 8. Where do fats occur? Foods that are rich in fats include butter, cheese, fatty meats, olives, many nuts, peas, beans, seeds of castor oil and palm oil. Fats are abundant in the liver of many fishes, for example, sharks. The meat of most fishes and white meats have relatively less fats, but some fishes, such as herring and salmon, have a lot of fats. Investigation. How can we identify fats? A cloudy white emulsion is formed when ethanol and water are added to fats. An emulsion is a suspension of small drops of a liquid in another liquid. A cloudy white emulsion formed indicated the presence of fats. White emulsions indicated the presence of fats. Ethanol alcohol emulsion test. On liquid food, add 2 centimeter cube of ethanol to a drop of coconut oil in a test tube and shake the mixtures thoroughly. What do you observe? Add 2 centimeter cube of water to the mixture and shake the mixture. What do you observe? On solid food, cut a peanut into small pieces and place the pieces in a test tube. 2 centimeter cube of ethanol and shake thoroughly. Allow the solid particles to settle. Carefully decant the ethanol. Pour off the top layer of ethanol into another test tube containing 2 centimeter cube of water. What do you observe? How can you explain your observation? What are the functions of fats? Fats function as a source and store of energy. We discussed in our previous lectures carbohydrates, and we read that carbohydrates are present in plants like vegetables and fruits. And we also discussed that carbohydrate is the basic source of energy. Everything we which have to use to eat, and firstly we eat and improve our energy by eating carbohydrates in the form of vegetable and fruits. And here we discuss that fats are also source of energy but secondary. Firstly carbohydrates, then fats. And we here discuss another point of fat function. An insulating material that prevents excessive heat loss. Since hair does not prevent heat loss effectively in water, members that live in the water tend to lose the heat quickly. Thus, animals such as whales have a thick layer of fat blubber beneath the skin, which helps to reduce loss of body heat. Here describe the process of fats and function of fats. Here that fats are created via synthesis produced in animals in the lower part of the upper skin. Skin is present and beneath the skin a layer of fat is found, and this fat prevent the animals from heat like cold like cold winter in season. Now we discuss the third one point of functions of fats. A solvent for fat soluble vitamins and many other vital substances such as hormone. Other vital substance. It means that fat also act as a hormones, and other vitamins which are soluble in fats such as hormone act like as a hormone. Now we discuss the next function of fats. An essential part of protoplasm, especially in cell membranes, a way to reduce water loss from the skin surface. Glands in skin secrete an oil substance. This oil substance forms a thin layer over the skin surface, reducing the rate of evaporation of water. The oily substance also reduces the rate of heat loss from the skin. Why do you think water evaporation and heat loss are reduced? And here we discuss about the fats, and we read the topic of fats, and we also see the structure of fatty acids. And in first steps, fat molecules plus three molecules of water catalyst in form a glycerol and three fatty acid molecules. And here we discuss the tristerians means fatty acid plus three water molecules in the presence of lipase form a glycerol plus three stearic acid molecule. Then we see about the saturated and unsaturated fat. We see that saturated fats are in a solid state when unsaturated fats are in liquid forms, and saturated in animals and unsaturated in vegetables. Here we also discuss about the then we look to know the process of fatty acids, and we test in the laboratory to observe the fats. Then we study the function of fats, where we dictate they provide energies and provide fatty acid fat to prevent loss from heat. And then we now discuss about the protein. Here we discuss about protein, everything, mostly things which are obtained from animal is called protein, like egg, like meat, beef, chicken are called protein. Now we discuss about proteins. What are proteins? Proteins are very complex organic substances made up of the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Carbohydrate are consist of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Fat are also consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, while protein is consist of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and extra molecule is added, like nitrogen is also added in proteins. Another element, sulfur, may also be present. Sulfur is also present in meat protein. Proteins are always present in protoplasm. Their molecules are the largest and most complicated of all the food substances. Their molecules are very complicated and complex. Very complex. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Amino acids. Here we look amino acids. Every protein molecules is built up from simple compounds known as amino acid. An amino acid is made up of an amino group NH2, amino group NH, 1H, 2H, and H2, and acid group COOH, COOH, and a side chain denoted by R. The general formula for an amino acid can be written as that's R represent the general. R may sometimes contain sulfur, acid groups, amino groups, and hydroxyl group OH in place of one or more hydrogen atom. Look at this structure. This is one molecule of protein, like NH2 group is present, COOH group is present, carbon, hydrogen present, and these are represent the sulfur or acid groups. And this is the simple structure of proteins: CH, NH2, COOH. We write this formula in two forms, like this also one, and here like this also one, at the same chemical components but written in complications form. Foods such as meat contain proteins. We discussed already this proteins presence, that we also said that the all meats, all things that we can obtain from animals is called protein. There are 20 different naturally occurring amino acids. For example, methionine and valine. They differ because of their different R groups. R means amino group, yes, sulfur. Amino acids are combined in various ways to form millions of different protein molecules, just as the 26 letters of the alphabet can be used to form a very large number of words. amino acids link up to form polypeptide. Amino acids form a polypeptide chain. Two amino acids may link up in a condensation reaction. The bond formed between the two amino acids is strong and is called peptide bond. One CH NH2 plus one amino acid molecule, one molecule of protein plus CH NH plus reaction OH COOH CHNH2 or CHCOH plus water molecule. OH like a NH2 CHR group CO, that's the molecule here replace and release in the form of water. OH plus H here from the H means H2 1 2 or one molecule of oxygen. Here COOH out CO peptide bond is formed. Then NHCHCOO plus R amino acids for like sulfur plus one molecule of water is released here from the water. OH and H releasing here, and one molecule of amino acid here, one is air, water is released, and one peptide. This bond is found between the two molecules of a bond is formed, which is called peptide bond. Here is peptide bond is formed. Look at this diagram and try to understand the situation. Many amino acids linked up by peptide bonds form a polypeptide or peptone. Polypeptide or peptone. How a peptide bond is formed? Essential and non-essential amino acids. Long chains of amino acids fold to give protein three-dimensional shape. Polypeptides in turn may be linked up to form an even longer chain of amino acids. A protein molecule is made up of one or more such chains folded together. Amino acid, straight line. These are amino acids which have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, amino acid, methyl group, nitrogen. Polypeptides, these are amino acids. These are elements are found in separately, and after reactions here are bond is formed between the element, and this bond called polypeptide या peptone and protein, and these are combined. A huge molecules of protein is formed. Amino acids link up to form polypeptides, which link up to form even longer chains of amino acids. One or more such chains fold together to form a protein. What is the difference between a protein and a polypeptides? The difference is that a polypeptide is like a long thread, whereas a protein is the surface knitted out of that thread. Can you see that the knitted thread scarf has shapes? Look at the pictures. Here is a small dog. Thread polypeptide. Thread a bond between these thread is amino acids are combined, and amino acid are combined by a polypeptide bond. Scarf protein. That's a scarf means that through this thread and one by one this protein like a structure is a protein, and one by one see a process of a shape to understand the process structure of protein. In most proteins, the chains are coiled or folded, giving the protein a more complex three-dimensional shape. The coils are held in place by weak bonds. These weak bonds are easily broken by heat and chemicals such as acids and alkyls. When these bonds are broken, the protein loses its three-dimensional shape. We say the protein has been denatured. Denaturation usually involves a loss of function of the protein. How does denaturation affect the functions of proteins? Read more about it chapter. Look at this diagram. OH group is present. It's like a structure of proteins, very complex structures and complicated structure of protein. Weak hydrogen bond. Peptide bonds are strong. Peptide bonds are strong, but hydrogen bonds are weak. These are the hydrogen bonds. A protein with coils held in place by weak bonds. Why must proteins be broken down in the body? An animal cannot directly absorb the protein it takes in because protein molecules are too large to pass through living cell surface membrane. These protein molecules must be broken down by enzyme during digestion. It means that we cannot eat the complete proteins. We eat protein by a process which is named as Digestion. Digestion is a series of hydrolytic reactions. The protein are first hydrolyzed into short polypeptides, peptones, which are in turn hydrolyzed into amino acids. Look at this picture. This is a proteins in a very complex or complicated shape. The peptide bonds, hydrogen bonds, here are hydrogen bonds. These are peptide bonds. Hydrogen bonds are weak while peptide bonds are strong. polypeptide bonds, hydrogen bonds are broke, then in next process peptide bonds are formed and protein in straight form. Then the polypeptide bond, these are the polypeptide bond broken down and chains are separate like separate elements, amino acids are formed. Look at here this like structures of digestion protein molecules, amino acid, cell surface membrane. These are the cell surface membrane, pore on membrane. Pore on membrane proteins are too large to diffuse through cell surface membrane, whereas amino acids are small enough to pass through. It means that that's all the surface membrane proteins are a large molecule which cannot pass through the pores into the surface. Therefore, proteins are broken down into polypeptides and polypeptides are broken into amino acids. Amino acids are small molecules which can easily pass into the cell surface membrane through the spore. Amino acids are simpler and much smaller molecules than proteins. They are soluble in water and are small enough to diffuse through living membrane. Hence, they can easily be absorbed into an animal's body. When amino acids enter the body cells, they are linked up again to form the protein needed by the animals. And in this chapter we discuss about the two topics. First one is carbohydrates and second one is protein. In proteins we discuss that proteins molecules are very complex and in very complicated form, and our cell membrane does not absorbs the large molecule like protein. Then protein are broken into polypeptides bonds and polypeptides are broken into amino acid. Amino acid are small molecules who can easily pass through the surface. Then we discuss that how does a polypeptide bonds are formed. One molecule of amino acid and other molecule of amino acid release the water and form between a peptide polypeptide bond. Polypeptide bonds are strong, while in protein another bond OH bond is also present. OH bond is slightly weak and the polypeptide bond is strong. And then we look at here like a very good and instructing example represented here like a sweater and is threaded to pull down, and one by one this sweater is pulled off and separate the thread like a protein structure slowly by slowly. And here is we discuss about that everything which we will be obtained from animal is called protein. All meats are rich source of proteins. Here we look at the structure of amino acid. Amino acids are NH group, COOH group, R group, amino sulfur groups represent here. Then we here looked at the carbohydrates, fats. We discuss the fats. Fats are also source of energy and form a fatty layers in animal beneath the skins to prevent from the heat. And fats, here we look the structure of fats. Fats are also complicated structure. Fats are also complicated structure and discuss saturated and unsaturated fats, saturated in animals and unsaturated in vegetable. We also discuss here that saturated in solid form and unsaturated in oily forms, liquid form. And here we look the structure of fats molecule complicated, and we discuss that fat molecules break down in the presence of three water molecule and catalyst converted into glycerol and three fatty acid molecules. And here we will enclose our topic of fats, and we slightly discuss about the introductions of proteins. I hope this lecture is very useful to those learners which are slightly weak in the reading skills. I hope this lecture, this course, this video is very useful for you. We will meet in our next class. Shukriya. Thank you so much for listening my lecture.